Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of my No Limits podcast. And today we have Dyveke with us, and she's another investor of Juicyfields.
Hi,
and
Daniel.
A member. Hi. I was gonna say you're also a member of our claim. So from the little I know about you from reading your website, you seem to be very passionate about cannabis and very well researched. That's my first impressions. But I'm wondering if you could tell us all more about yourself, maybe?
Yes, I will. And thank you, Daniel, for inviting me to this podcast. So, yes, my name is Dyveke. I'm a writer and I give advice about cannabis. I wrote 2 books on CBD cannabis, and I do some consulting for small businesses about CBD products and, the way that you can promote and sell them. I write and I edit text for companies, and on an individual level, I give advice about the use of CBD and other cannabinoids. My husband has a shop which is full of products made of hemp, and this is like the CBD oil, but also lots of other cannabinoid-based food supplements, hemp cosmetics, hemp foods, hemp clothing, and accessories like sunglasses and shoes, slippers, bags, all made of hemp. And together we are in the executive board of a foundation called the Hemp Collective. And as a foundation, we want to inspire about hemp and its use, and promote also the use of hemp as a source of, basically every product that you can think of. And to tell you a bit about my connection with cannabis, this is a fun story attached to it. So I was born and raised in Amsterdam, capital of the Netherlands. And, Amsterdam and the Netherlands in general, but it's known for its liberal or so-called liberal cannabis policy, especially Amsterdam, right, with all the coffee shops. And it's truly a classic because I've seen it all up close. And I might come back to that in a minute. It's a really crazy story that I can share. And it shares a bit more about my history with cannabis. But what I really would like to make clear also is that I'm passionate about cannabis because it's just such a fascinating plant that you can use from root to top for all kind of purposes. Cannabis is the one and only plant that can nurture you. It can heal you, dress you, house, shelter, protect you. It can clean the soil from contamination, and it can even provide and store energy. And for me, it's just so sad that cannabis is utterly misunderstood plant, and it was demonized also in the 1930s, which is a story too long for this podcast. But this plant has been used for thousands of years, and only like less than 100 years, we start to have a different opinion on cannabis, and we think about cannabis mainly as a drug. Well, it has so much more to it, and it's only slowly on a comeback. Now more and more people start to learn that it's more than a drug and you can use it for various purposes, but it's a very slow process, right? So I still have to explain people that no, you can't get stoned when you wear a t-shirt made of hemp fiber. This is what we get a lot in my husband's shop. Or, like if we would build say a wall made of hemp fiber, you can build houses, right, with hemp. But then people would make jokes like, you would live in a stoner home where you just want to sniff your roll all day to get high or something. It's really crazy. But like as a teenager, my bedroom was next to a room that my grandfather would use to make photographs. He would make his own photographs. And my grandfather got very old, so this room was no longer used until my uncle came. My uncle had a coffee shop, and at that time it was quite a popular coffee shop as well. But you might know this, that it's allowed or tolerated to sell cannabis in a coffee shop, but you cannot have more than 500 grams of cannabis at any time. So if you want to provide cannabis to your customers, yeah, you should have a secret stash somewhere, with storage. So the stash of my uncle, one of his stashes was in the room next to my bedroom. So what would happen was, right, and I was, I think, like 12 years old, that my uncle would come running in, still a joint hanging from his mouth, smoking. He would just run through my room, go through this room next to mine, and go inside, do some things, and then run out again. And I would never understand what he was really doing. So after some time, I thought, like, yeah, I'm just going to take a look in what is there in this room, right? So I went inside, and there was this big plastic bag on the ground, and I put my hand in it, and I felt all kind of funny things. And when I put my hand out, I had my hand full of cannabis buds, right? These cannabis dried flowers. So this was his stash. And yeah, later on, I got a bit older, and I also started to see where he was growing this cannabis. He would rent a house somewhere, he would build gardens there. I would see the process all up close. And there have been occasions, that 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 he had a harvest. Okay, so when you harvest the cannabis, then you need to cut away all the little leaves from the flowers to make the flower good and ready to be dried, so it can be sold properly. And then we would have this really huge pile of cannabis that would be put on the plastic sheet in a room. And then me and my mother and other family members would just come together and sit around this big pile. We had to make sure not wearing any perfume, no jewelry, tied our hairs, but be very as sterile as possible. And then we would be cutting these flowers. Or the leaves from the flowers, which my mother didn't understand. She was cutting the flowers away too, which made my uncle very angry. But in the end, she got a hold of it. So I've seen this part of cannabis, but I also seen lots of bad things, because cannabis is demonized. It's also criminalized, and putting it in such a difficult way for a coffee shop owner to actually have his production and his storage, that very makes it difficult. So there are a lot of criminal aspects to it. And yeah, this I could do a whole new podcast with you on. But it's very sad, because if we would change our opinion on cannabis, if we would provide good information about what it is, how you can use it, that it's not only for recreational purposes, it's also medicine, it's also for industrial use, then it would be of great value to the whole, well, to us as a being, but also to the world. And it wasn't until later on, like when I was 35, 36, that my husband started to have this shop. We were selling products made of hemp. And then again, it changed because at that time he was only like selling cosmetics and food and clothing, but not the CBD. This was the end of 2014. I just gave birth to our first child. We have two boys, they're 8, 7, and 4. And in 2014, well, nobody really knew about CBD oil. And after giving birth, I was really suffering from a lot of nerve pain. And, this caused me not to be able to sleep properly. And this made me very depressed. And, you start to do all kind of therapies. Nothing really worked. So then my husband said, like, look, I know that there's something called the CBD oil. It's made from cannabis, but it doesn't make you high. And it seems to be working for pain, for sleep. So maybe we should use this. And, I got a bit scared and skeptic, because I thought, well, it's from the cannabis flower, so it must be illegal. It must get you high. It must have some addictive properties to it. I didn't really want to use it. And this is where my research started also. I started to do lots of research on what actually is in this cannabis flower and what are the various components and how do they work in your body. Because I was also breastfeeding my child. So if there would be some psychoactive components, would this be bad? Would I be giving this to our child? And in the end, I decided to just go ahead and try it. And so my husband, he bought this little bottle in a little shop somewhere near the central station of Amsterdam. It almost seemed like something illegal to do, but it worked like beautifully. I could sleep again. My pain was to a level that I could tolerate it better. And it was just such an amazing feeling. So from this moment on, I was really on a mission to talk about everything from cannabis, all the usage and also its medicinal properties. And so this is where, to complete the whole cycle, I come from the Amsterdam things that I've seen with the criminal parts of cannabis in the coffee shops, to the industrial use of cannabis in the field, the industrial hemp, to the medicinal properties and it's the CBD, but also the THC, right? There's a side effect to it that makes you high. And you can say that maybe the high effect is even medicinal in its own unique way. But there's a lot more to say to cannabis. And yes, so you can definitely say that cannabis has my passion, yes.
This was a lovely answer and very, very cool story. I already saw cannabis all around you even before we started talking, but now I really see it's been all around you your whole life, even though you've come from the sad part of the cannabis. In our world, many things, the sad things do come from it being illegal though, and the environment it's in, and the lack of education, like you say.
Yeah.
And your story and where you find yourself now, it's very inspiring, the whole thing. And I know many people who would need to hear your story. I think your story is very good for the world.
Yeah, it's, I want to add something to that. For me, even with the knowledge that I already had because of my husband's shop with the products that we have from cannabis or hemp, basically these words are more or less the same, right? Like cannabis is a Latin name for the whole plant family. And hemp is more often used when it's about the industrial parts of cannabis. But still, for me, when I was introduced to the CBD oil, I was very skeptic because of everything that I saw with my uncle when I was a teenager. And just by learning and educating myself and reaching out, and I really did reach out to scientists, pharmacists, doctors, and also lawyers. There's so many different aspects to cannabis, and I learned from their stories and from their insights, and I got a different experience, and because of this I can now share this with the world. And I see sometimes people that are suffering from a kind of illness or disease that seems untreatable. And a lot of times, this is where the cannabinoids like CBD, THC, CBG, you have so many different kind of now in food supplements. They can be vital and they can really be life-changing. So yeah, if there's one thing that I want to leave at the world, then this is the story, and to help and to reach out, definitely.
Yeah, I can just confirm from my experience that cannabis seems to be a very like a universal kind of cure or medicine for many ailments. If it doesn't cure it, it will help it,
Yeah, exactly, to better the quality of life.
Yeah, and help the process of curing it, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times I see when people come to me with questions about dosage, or if even cannabis can be used, because a lot of time people are on medication for a long period of time, and their body's system is sort of used to the medication. And medication a lot of times, if not all the time, causes nutrient depletion. So like you are some kind of drug, but because of you are on this drug, your body can't absorb like magnesium or calcium, or it has a lack of vitamin C or vitamin D all of a sudden. And if there's one thing that cannabis really does, it calms you down, it relaxes and soothes you. It helps, curing inflammation processes. It does so much good. And from there, you can see like, okay, are we going to work on an energetic level or on a physical level? And a lot of time, it's both. You can't do one without the other. But then definitely the baseline, then CBD and other cannabinoids can really, really help with that.
Big time. I had something I wanted to share, but I forgot it. Never mind.
Maybe I can make a bridge for you, like in saying that because of my passion for cannabis, when I got introduced to Juicyfields, I saw an amazing possibility. Of course, about the investment, this was amazing, and I'm not experienced at all in investing. And I thought, like, wow, can you really make like a profit of 35% in 108 days? That's really a lot of money that you can make. But what triggered me more, is like Juicyfields was like all over the place. They were providing information on YouTube. There were these amazing interviews done by Svesta Laudic, who used to be like if I understand it correctly, a CNN reporter for CNN Latin America. There were recipes from Andre Schneider, who actually published a cookbook published by Juicyfields with all kinds of recipes that were both really like the high cuisine. His book also called High Cuisine. Yeah. But also he tells about the endocannabinoid system, right? Like how these compounds all work in your body. There was so much information, and because they were so bold and so present and so loud, I thought like, wow, this is going to be a very good way to reach out to the Dutch cannabis community and to see if we can push things forward here in the Netherlands towards legalization. Like if we can provide so much information and say like, look, here we have the fields, in the Latin Americas, in Portugal, in South Africa, we're growing. Look at how it's growing and what can we use it for, and how can we use this plant for our health, to cure ourselves, to cure our planet. And to make money at the same time, because there is a lot of money to be made in cannabis. So this triggered me big time. And I think it only took me one day to realize, and I can talk about this now, I wasn't allowed to talk about this before, but to become an affiliate partner. And this meant that, I would start sharing information on Juicyfields so that people can become an e-grower. And as sort of a thank you in return from the Juicyfields, I got like a small percentage on the invested money. So this was for me, I started with 5% and ended up with 6%, meaning like if someone would buy a plant of €50, I would get 250. Later on, I would get €3, right? So these were not huge amounts, but it was a nice extra thing for me. But for me, the most important was, this is an amazing company. We can change lives,
Yeah, same here. I just want to add in quickly. It was a perfect bridge to my next question, but I just want to add what I forgot or wanted to add. Yeah. That when you said earlier all the minerals that you get depleted from the pharmaceutical medicines.
Yes.
Cannabis is the plant that contains the most minerals in the world or on our planet. And the second one is tobacco. Yeah. And tobacco is also a very great healer when you drink it or eat it. Yeah. And heal the body like on a physical level very, very fast and effectively.
Okay. I didn't know
I
that.
No, for all those who know me already, I'm very much into crystals and minerals.
Yeah.
And cannabis is like a no-brainer for me to be into as well, because it has crystals and it contains the most minerals of all
Yeah.
the plants. It's
You know
it's
what it
very lovely.
is? It's
Sorry.
with these plants, with the plant medicine, like on a certain level, but then the dosage and the duration or the frequency of the use is very important. If we use cannabis in a way just for the fun of it, there's nothing wrong. I'm not judging this, right? But it can be very much fun to smoke a joint. I did so too, of course, and I laughed my ass out. It was complete funny, utterly nonsense. I had such a great time.
Yeah.
But if you have a variety or that has like a different ratio of the CBD, THC, and other compounds, on an individual level, depending on dosage, depending on where you are in life and your emotional state of being before using this plant, it can really be scary sometimes. There are some aspects in cannabis that can, provoke like things like anxiety or even psychosis in the worst case. And what is done most of the time, or a lot of times, is that this is being focused on, like the risks, right? And
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see that in the science, the first couple of years of first decades of cannabis science were really focusing on risk, like what risks there are. Now, since some decades, the focus is more on the health benefits. This is really good. So um, medical professionals are also realizing that cannabis is so much more. There are risks, but there are so many risks also with the medication, right? Like, let's talk about
Oh
the
yeah. Then
medication. If you,
nothing that kills more people than those pills.
it's on the top five. The wrong use of medication or over medication or so if we can compare this, no one really ever in the world died of an overdosage of cannabis. And if we understand more of the use of it, then I think we would have a completely different perspective.
Yeah, in my eyes too, it's a very safe plant and safe medicine to use. So of course there are always risk, and you can always like it's almost like a challenge for some people to like everything is possible, you know. You can always drink too much milk or whatever.
Yeah, true. And what is also happening, like because we don't have good information, what I see in the Netherlands, and I don't have the correct numbers, but I do know that there are species being grown, or species cultivars or chemovars, right? Cannabis varieties, chemovars, um, that have really high, extreme high amounts of THC and really
Yeah,
low amounts of CBD. And these are like the two compounds mainly, as far as I know at least, that
they
have a
should
sort of
balance.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and they can balance out, like you must know this, right? If you have if you're too high from use of weeds, if you take a drop of CBD oil, it will lower your high. However, if you would take the CBD oil
balance
before,
it
and
out.
then you get high as high as
It's
hell.
it's like the white sugar. I see it when they remove the minerals and vitamins from
Yeah,
sugar and make it refined. You get up and down, like you get a bigger rush and a
yeah,
bigger drop
yeah,
afterwards. Like the up and down, it creates much more stormy weather in your body
exactly.
than
Yeah,
the honey or the fruits or the
yeah,
sugar with the things. Like the CBD is in it for a reason, and
yeah,
the THC is very powerful substance.
yeah.
And I love THC, but with all things,
Mm.
especially for the first time, you never want to feel that you got too much.
Yeah, exactly.
And that happens a lot with these strong varieties of cannabis, like the bushweed that you found in Africa
Mm,
hundreds of years ago has like 3 to 5% THC,
mm.
and today you find 20 to 30.
Yes, I
It's a
know. And this
big
is,
difference.
yeah. And then also, and I don't know once again what really the numbers are, but there have been some testing on cannabis buds that are sold in the Dutch coffee shops at least. And I believe also in Germany or other countries in Europe on illegal markets. That a lot of times the buds are being sprayed with like a glass fiber substance to
Or
make it
being
more shiny.
heavier.
Shiny and
Ah,
heavier also, because if you see the shiny, you think like, oh, look at the trichomes. It must have a lot of
yeah.
harsh in it, so it's good. And to make it more heavy, so you can sell it for more. But then you're smoking it, and you get a damage effect. But that's not the cannabis doing it. That's the compounds that are being sprayed on it. So it gives a whole different outcome. But once again, cannabis is not
But
guilty of this, you know?
no, but we as a society left it to the criminal market, and
Mhm.
for people with no many times, sometimes they have morals, sometimes they don't, but it's not regulated, and anyone can be a criminal, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of stories, and like from my experience with buying weed illegally for 15 years of my life,
Yeah.
there's I don't know what's in it all of the time, to be honest, but I'm not surprised when I see or hear or find this. It's a lot of shampoo in the hash. It's
Really?
people spray what do you call this, synthetic version of weed now
Yes.
again.
Yeah, like the K spice or other
Yeah,
components. Yeah.
spice.
Yeah.
They spray spice on it too to make the high more or
Yeah.
weirder. And so many different things, and you can't really trust it so much. And it's supposed to be. It is medicine,
Hmm.
and medicine is very important that you can trust the the process of it, and that it's clean. When it's a criminal market and you force people who are desperate, like with cancer or anything, to go and find this stuff
Yeah.
and pay a lot of money for it too.
True.
It's so many factors that you don't want to have with associated with cannabis.
No, exactly. You know, and it's a system that forces it in this way. Well, as a matter of fact, cannabis is a teacher. It teaches us about ourselves, about our inner beings, about our bodies. You know, I was fascinated to find out that that our bodies, we make components that are very similar to the components of cannabis, like CBD and THC. Those are the cannabinoids, right? But from the plant derived, these are phytocannabinoids. But our body has endocannabinoids, and they're only named after the cannabinoids because, well, the phytocannabinoids were first discovered, and they first discovered that they can actually bind in a certain way to our cells in our bodies through, yeah, this gets a bit technical, through a thing called a receptor, like these big molecules in the outer layer of the cell, in the membrane of the cell. And this is like a key in a lock system. Yeah. So the phytocannabinoid comes as a key to the locks in our cells, and then it binds and has a certain effect. And why do our cells have these special locks for cannabinoids, phytocannabinoids? It's because we make these cannabinoids ourselves. We make these keys
Yeah,
ourselves. And this is our endocannabinoid system. It's a body balancing system. It's a feedback system, right? Like before the discovery of this, it was not thought of that information can be sent in both ways, right? Like if we fire our nerves, they send information from one nerve cell to the other. But now we also know that that the receiving end, so to say, can send it back to the sender, can send compounds back to the sender. And this is what the endocannabinoid system does. And so it gives feedback to the cells. It can calm processes down. Like if you're in stress, you have a response.
interesting.
Um, yeah. So, and then, you know, you get your adrenaline, you get in your fight, flight, or freeze moment. And then the endocannabinoids, they pop up and they give feedback. They say like, okay, the situation is relaxed, you can calm down, and it balances again. You know, your body should almost be in balance, whether it's your immune system, right? It can't be too active because you get the immune disease. autoimmune disease, but it can't be passive, because then you're very much you can get ill from all kinds of microbes around you. So there has to be a balance, also like with cell growth. If you have too much, you get tumors, but if there's too little, you get degeneration, like in your brain. You can get all kinds of forms of dementia, or you can, in your muscles, you get loss of muscle tissue. So there should always be a balance, and this is our endocannabinoid system that makes sure there's a balance. And the cannabis tells us about this. And the fun thing is, like, we can enhance this endocannabinoid system of ours by using cannabis, because it's a very sensitive system, and it's sensitive to our surroundings, to all the things happening around us, in our bodies, outside our bodies, and with all the things we experience, the toxins around us, the stress that we have from our work or our daily lives. It's very hard for your body to keep in balance all the time. You can get to a certain point that you're sort of exhausted, you feel tired. How many people are suffering from burnout or stress nowadays? It's just massive. So in this sense, cannabinoid-based therapy is vital, but so are like smart choices when it comes to food supplements, body practicing, having enough good sleep, having enough good body exercise, and also social interaction. The connection with people is so important to our endocannabinoid systems. Yeah, and this goes further than than having a phone call, but also hugging, like feeling that you belong and that you're loved. That is so vital for this body system.
I know Wim Hof speaks and shows the world a lot about this, what you have transmitted to us now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have seen or researched him so much, but he's from Holland.
He's amazing. Our Dutch Iceman. Yes. Yeah, he shows that you can really boost your immune system. And he goes very far, right? But he's also being researched now. People first thought that he was crazy.
He
This is
talks
how
a
it
lot
goes.
about the endocannabinoid system.
Yes.
And he proved in the university study there. I don't know if you've seen it, but when they put him in a tank with ice water and they scanned his brain. Did you see this?
Yes. That he can he can
go into the endocannabinoid system and create the chemistry by consciously.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah,
but we don't have to all be like Wim Hof and put ourselves in these situations.
No,
An
he's
ice bath
crazy.
can be very pleasant, but I can understand that it's not your cup of tea.
but you can get in control of your physiology without ice.
Yeah,
there's so many ways to go deep. And Wim found his way.
Yeah, exactly.
Very inspiring man.
Yeah, it is, and if there's one lesson to be learned from it, or the lesson that I take from him, is that it's about trusting your body. You can really trust your body. You can trust how to use your body. We're put into this world in a body, and this is my philosophy, right? I believe we are all divine frequencies anyways. We're connected, but we have our bodies to experience life with our senses and to make something of it, a pleasant experience, and to just enjoy and have and learn and grow. But if your body sort of tricks you and makes you believe that you're ill or you can't do something, you can get a hold on this. You can get a grip on it, and you can learn how to use your body. You can really you can really understand also the physics of your body. And as a matter of fact, our bodies produce these beautiful chemicals. Chemicals sounds chemical, but compounds that we have our own pharmacies with us all the time. It's just that we get distracted by our ego, by stuff around us, by the stories that we tell ourselves, by the stuff that we convince ourselves that we are or that we are not, that we can do or can't do. But we have our own pharmacies with us all the time. And it's the plants that can help bring us back to ourselves if used
The
properly and
yeah,
wisely, you know, with respect.
yeah, they're amazing support and guide, and like as the experience shows you your own potential in a way with feeling a chemistry. It's like you said, your body has the receptors already, so you're built to feel this. If you can feel something, that means your body is built to feel it.
Yeah.
So, but it's like how in the yogic sciences, there's so many things to do with the body. Like the body is, if you have the body in a good state or not, that's really heaven or hell, you know, in your experience on this planet.
Yeah.
So to take care of your body, like the temple it is, like in the yogic sciences, and there's so many tools to, like when you stand on your head and you force all the blood into your glands that produce all the feel good stuff, and there's so many things you can do to feel good, and working with the body, giving it what it needs. And cannabis is like so connected to our bodies.
Yeah.
All the CBDs and all the compounds, there's stuff in cannabis for every little organ and part of the body.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not only the cannabinoids, right? Like you said,
No.
like it contains all these vitamins and minerals, and also
Yeah,
the essential fatty acids in the seeds
yeah,
of the cannabis, right?
it's perfect for us. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And this is vital because these are the building blocks that we need to make our
So,
own
and feel good and
proteins.
be in
And
heaven.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes.
Sorry, let's continue maybe.
Hmm.
So the next question for you, what you tried to have and bridge to me, was like what happened with Juicyfields
Yeah.
this summer, basically, from your eyes, your side of it all.
Yeah. I would say like, dear, you know, where to start? And the
Yeah,
funny
but
thing is, like, if you would have asked me this same question about 5 weeks ago, I would have most likely given you a whole different answer than today. And as a matter of fact, I would have given you a different answer every day, because
yeah,
we, as e-growers or juicers, as we were called by Juicyfields company, we were given different information on what was going on. You know, the website was shut down, so people could not log on to their accounts. Before that, we were given this email that there was a strike going on and that Juicyfield staff was not being paid, and there was some sort of internal difficulties, and also on a management level. There were so many stories and such a smoke curtain that it was really difficult to understand. And also for me, um, when this first email came out about the strike, I remember sitting at the table in the evening, you know, the kids were to bed, and I look at my husband and say, like, this doesn't feel right. There's something utterly wrong. And it's like, no, it couldn't be a scam. It just couldn't be, you know. I've been on the Telegram groups, I think, ever since I joined Juicyfields as an investor, and definitely as an affiliate partner. I try to be there as much as possible. Whenever people had an opinion, I would always be one of the first to say, like, no, but this company is trustworthy. And, you know, I had been reaching out to basically all people I could find on the Juicyfields website, all the contacts that I could find there, the lawyers, the guys from the cultivation part. I've been reaching out to companies that were so-called partners of Juicyfields. Looking back at it now, I had contact, but I didn't do my research properly. I didn't went into the depth of it. I only stayed on this surface, probably because I was hypnotized by this company with all its beautiful aspects to it, their approach, their PR, their marketing machine, and the potential that I saw in this company. Um, you know, but when this all happened, information went so quick. And there was a Telegram group that started, you know, Juicyfields backup. We were led to believe also that some groups were still being in control of people that work for Juicyfields. There were documents being shared that it was taken over by Russian mafia. It was just one crazy story after the other. And at a certain point, I just, at my perspective at that time, I thought like, well, something went wrong. I don't know exactly what went wrong, but I cannot believe that this was planned, not with such a big marketing machine to it. I just couldn't believe that all the promotion, all the articles, all the whole approach, the whole info channel, everything, the sponsoring of big cannabis events, just like the reaching out to the cannabis community, that this was all fake. So I thought like, okay, something went wrong. They're building up a Juicyfields 2.0. I stay calm and I stay put, and I still believe in this company. And now it was, as a matter of fact, really on the day that I signed up to become Lars's client, and he knows this because he received my email. I paid the €100 registration fee, and immediately after that, I received a message from one of the people that signed up through my link, and he told me like, "Hey, but why are you now with Lars? Look at the website of Juicyfields. They're starting at 2.0. You should have faith. Don't let yourself go all crazy." So I emailed Lars, right? And I said like, I didn't really ask for my money back yet, but I said like, look, I don't want to be your client yet. I received different information and I need some time to think. And Lars just said like, okay, you're in control. Let's have a talk tomorrow and we'll soothe everything out. The moment I spoke with Lars, I felt like, okay, yeah, I was tricked. I was hypnotized. And then you go through this whole process. We talked about this, right? The whole steps of mourning, like the disbelief that you have, to the rage, to the negotiating processes you go through with yourself, to sort of depression.
Yeah.
All started first, of course, with the denial, like this can't be happening to me. And but bottom line, if you ask me what really happened, I would say that a beautiful dream was killed, was just gone, an amazing potential, because I truly believe that this whole concept of crowd growing, it's amazing. It's a smart way to do business. It's an amazing way to reach out to a lot of people. It's interesting to make money this way, but it's also a very good way to promote cannabis. And that was gone. Hope was gone, and it's a sad page in the history of cannabis, I think, as well, because oh yeah, this I wanted to tell you too.
Go. I
After
love it.
becoming affiliate partner, I immediately reached out to Daniel Gauci, who was CBDO at the time. Like, look, I'm a writer. I write about cannabis. I know a lot about it. I want to write for your company. And he got me linked to Fanny Skoglund. And Fanny was very enthusiastic. She said like, okay, let's have a call. We had a call in February this year. Eventually, I wrote some articles for them. One of them was the PR for Andre Schneider. I don't know, for his book, right? I don't know if it ever was published. I don't know. I just know that I wrote articles for them. I could send my invoice. The invoice was properly paid. No, no funny things there. And in June, I got an assignment from Natalie, saying that there would be a Juicyfields, a Juicy Network magazine. For all the juicers, they would make a magazine, both printed but also digital. And they wanted me to write the first cover story. So I was in heaven, like, oh wow, am I really being asked to write this cover story? That's an
Yes.
amazing opportunity for me to talk about cannabis, to reach out to a lot of people. And you know what the topic was?
No.
It was cannabis stigmatization. So the stigma on cannabis, like how it came to be that cannabis was stigmatized, all the stereotypes with it. And I wrote the article. It was over 1,500 words, like 5 pages long. But I only sent invoices like after all the editing rounds. So I was waiting for that. And then Natalie said like, yeah, we have to put it on hold for now. It's very sad, but we have other priorities now. And that got me a bit confused. But then I thought like, yeah, there must be so many things going on. And then the email with the strike came. So I thought like, okay, so maybe it's just put away for now. When the strike is gone, then we can push forwards. And, you know, everything went just down the hill. And it got me very sad for various reasons, you know? Yeah.
Totally. I just want to say a few things that
Yeah.
I was exactly like you, totally hypnotized, believing it so much. I didn't see any. There were some red flags for me during these 2 years I was investing, but I didn't like, my mind was so believing in this that I protected them.
Yeah.
And I also want you to not, you said that you didn't do so good research. To me, I heard you contacted a lot of people there and did a lot of due diligence, but like we had a talk in the members group like a few weeks ago. I don't want to say any names, but we have a people who were there will remember, but we have a guy who's ex-police, and he has brothers that are also police, and his one of his brothers works in the department for fraud that deals with fraud for the police, and he looked up Juicyfields 2 years ago, and with his resources he couldn't find any red flags at that point in time. They had all the legit things. So this basically just means what Lars have been saying too, like they had all the doors open for them from the beginning. And this shouldn't have been even possible to happen. I know many people who would never invested if it was not SEPA transfers. If it was only crypto or something, many people would never have invested in this project.
No, it's true that they really had things covered, you know, and it's it's for me, it's so difficult to see that this is a scam. It really hurts also, you know. I think it's a beautiful concept, and the company, like on the surface, you know, the outer layer, so to say, the whole crowd growing idea, that was a beautiful concept, and it still is, you know. And about the fraud, I also in my network I have several people that are like fraud inspectors, and one of them also got invested, got started as an investor, and this also gave me like confidence, like if this person is doing this, then
that's a big confirmation.
It's a big confirmation, yes.
No, I hear
Crazy.
you completely.
Yeah.
It really did look very good outwards, but now we know the inside was not with the same quality as the outwards image of Juicyfields, or the marketing and all these things were at the highest levels, very, very top quality.
Yeah.
But the owners and the people behind it are not people I like. I don't want to go out and say so many things publicly like this, but I have a lot to say privately if I say like that.
Yeah, no, I understand. We also have to be a bit careful, you know, in what to say and what not to say. There's so much at stake, and especially now with the whole case that Lars is putting together.
Yeah. So this is going to my next question.
Yeah.
And that's just basically what are we doing together now with this case? Yes, I know you just joined basically, but from your perspective.
Yeah, you know, as I said, like when the whole scam came out, there were a lot of Telegram groups starting. You know, people were trying to find, trying to make any sense of it. And also providing a shoulder to each other, like to cry on, you know.
Yeah.
And some people that were always like a bit skeptical about Juicyfields were now saying things like, yeah, you see, I hate to say I told you so, and why were you so arrogant in responding when I would give like a red flag? And I think with the group of Lars, we passed that stage now. We passed the crying, and we passed the grief, and we passed all the blaming and the feeling guilty and all that things. We are building a community where we just share information about what happened exactly, so that we can find a way of dealing with our loss, and at the same time we can build up a strong case against against those that can be held accountable for the whole scam. And without going into details, because I think that's not a wise thing to do, but what I strongly see and feel also is that Lars has a strategy that is very smart and promising. And I think if this is the way, and this is the way he pushes forward, and he will, I think it's going to be a very effective way that will show results. And I was talking also with Lars. It's so good that we come together and we go through all these. It's really like stages of mourning, right?
Yeah,
But
like we talked about.
we now we're building up again, and it feels good. We are connecting. We share the same experience, right? We've all been scammed, and we can look into each other's eyes like, we never wanted to do any harm. We wanted to do good. We believed in this company for whatever reason. I had my reasons and my motivation, and a lot of people did it in their ways. And yes, a lot of money was lost, and this is absolutely crazy. But like, I've done the whole works. I went to the police to file in a complaint, or how do you say it, aangifte, don't know the English word, or send in a report, right? I went to the Dutch authorities. I really spent hours in filling out questionnaires, providing information. And the authorities, they didn't even take time to give me an answer. They just sent me an auto reply. The police, they told me they will not do anything with this case because it's too big. So maybe it is being picked up. And I know that in one of the groups there's a lady, and she's doing really her uttermost best to help people out. And they sent in a report together. And because of this, now there's international research being done, right, by Interpol. But then what is this to us? Are we going to see any money back? Are we going to get any fulfillment? No, it will not be any help. If they find the people that did this scam, they will most likely be held to justice. And if they can be held to justice, because that's a big question mark there, can they be found? Can they be put accountable? There's lots of ways of dealing with law and with trading law, right?
Yeah.
So, but then the money is gone. So there's other ways to proceed, and I think that the way Lars is doing this, that's a very smart way.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm here and doing this thing too. And all what I have learned from Lars since has also confirmed that it is like, most likely it is like what you say, the money will be gone after a few years of investigations and courts. And even if the cops do something, eventually it will be from political pressure, I think. Right now they don't have the resources to do something like they said this big.
Yeah, true.
So and the criminals have prepared for years. They already, like in the law, you have to prove intent beyond reasonable doubt, and so it's very easy to, even if they do get caught, these middlemen we know about, they can very easily get away in the courts, and they know it, and they are prepared for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're professional bad guys, but yeah.
Bad guys nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, let's forget about them. We give them the hat off for doing a very sophisticated, very good scam. It got me completely.
Yeah.
They have to give them that, and they're very smart.
Yeah.
But I don't like them at all.
No,
but,
we need it. Who would?
No, but I don't want anything to do with them anymore. So, but one more question here. So how do you like our community and group so far?
Well, so far it's been amazing. Like I find it's that people are very supportive, and they're taking initiative to help others. And this is both like in sharing information, so on a practical level, but also on an emotional level. People are really generous and forgiveful towards themselves and others, and we also focus ourselves. If the conversation in the groups gets a bit off topic, then we come back to the essence of it. But we also find space to respect different opinions on the matters. And, you know, we were all blinded by these charms of Juicyfields. We made mistakes in believing this company and this company's system. So this experience that we share wasn't nice, but together, we create now new experiences that fill up our cups again with love and with faith. And this is just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Mhm.
It's my new home, this community,
Yeah.
even though I haven't connected with everyone so much individually.
Mhm.
So is there anything more you want to say before we end? We can have the space
Yeah.
for free.
All right. Well, if there's one thing I would like to share with people is that they, should not lose their faith, their trust in others. And, most of the people we will meet in our lives, they're nice, they're trustworthy, but it is really hard to tell sometimes. People can appear very nice and gentle in the way they act or speak, but then they turn out to have their own agenda and they mean to do you harm. And then it's also the other way around, right? People that seem to be the most horrible bastards of the universe will sooner or later be your best friends ever. And I find this one of the most difficult things to teach our kids. And, as I told you, we have two beautiful boys of 4 and 7, and they are very open. They're not afraid to make contact with new people. They approach other people. And I want them to stay them this way. Well, at the same time, I want to make them aware of the risks, and that they always look after themselves. It's for them, it's not no more than logic that they will make mistakes in life, and so have I, and so do we all. And in a way, you can say that there are no mistakes, right? Only the experiences that we have with a maybe different outcome than we would have expected or wanted. And when this happens, like recently with Juicyfields, I think it's important not to stick with the feeling of being in a mistake, in the loss. Instead, feel the experience, learn from it, and grow. Reflect on what happened and take that with you. Don't stay in the feeling of loss or despair. You can rise above that and see what else is there for you. There are always new possibilities and options, always. The universe is so abundant in this. And again, these possibilities, they're maybe not always what you would have expected or wanted, but there are possibilities. And we people, we are strong and we're resilient. We can make things happen. We can thrive, even if you think all is lost. It's about your mindset. And mindset makes it possible to see new possibilities, to see new opportunities. It makes it possible to trust again in others, trust again in yourself, trust again in your way of living your life. Yeah, if there's one thing that I would like to leave as a last comment, then it's this: stay trusting and stay experiencing. And yeah.
Very, very, very good reminders for everyone. I love this and the transmission from you. And it was it is very. I forgot what I was gonna say again. Sorry, but
Yeah, no
it's
problem.
it's just it's deep and very beautiful. And I think in the end, experience is the only teacher, like you said, for your kids and everyone. It, it's like life, and that's nature. You can't change how this is. But this attitude you have towards this experience, we had now with Juicyfields is the only attitude that makes any sense to me. So it was a very, very I appreciate that you share this a lot and everyone, I think, too.
You're very welcome, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this.
My pleasure. I will later on put your website in the links for everyone if they want to check you out more. Because I find you as a very interesting source in this cannabis world.
Yeah, people are more than welcome to reach out, especially when it's about information on cannabis, cannabinoids. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for being here, Dyveke.